and probably the magic of lag.
It is the magic of lag. Time goes just a tiny bit faster, half an hour to the east.
It's because of the geothermal storms.
It's like an
That
interstellar.
makes sense.
That's exactly the premise of the movie that we're looking at today, everybody. Romancing the Stone. Have you romanced the Stone? Has anyone romanced the Stone lately?
I don't think you could do that anymore.
I did earlier. Before I came over.
Colin, you say you don't think we could do that? You don't think we could do that anymore?
Yeah, don't forget the jewels, man.
Well, Romancing the Stone, 1984. Loading up a little summary. A mousy romance novelist sets off for Colombia to ransom her kidnapped sister and soon finds herself in the middle of a dangerous adventure hunting for treasure with a mercenary rogue. Well,
Is that how you describe her, as mousy in this movie?
Maybe
I don't even know what the hell mousy means. What does that mean?
mousy means just like kind of very timid, keeps her like very like frightens easy.
She's a big fucking nerd.
Mike would say a big nerd, yeah.
There you go.
Well, before we go too deep into it, just remember, as always, we are Rabbit Troop Sucks, and we are a podcast that, reviews obscure, forgotten about, and often overlooked films. As always, I'm Paul. Next to me is Mike.
Hey.
There's Colin.
Yo.
And there's Jeremy.
Hey,
And there's Lamar.
Hey.
And hey guys, we're coming back after our 100th episode where we covered hackers. And thank you everyone for writing us about hackers. We have 1,000 comments that everyone says, hack the planet. And I write hack the planet back. So I appreciate it. Nods to everyone. When I was finalizing a couple of things with Renly, thank you so much again for being on our show. He even concluded with hack the planet to me. So Renly, thanks again for being on. Hack the planet. Again, thanks for everyone writing us. Hopefully everyone's doing well and you're still listening to us. A couple updates I wanted to note. Hey everyone, we're on the tubes now. We're officially on YouTube. We were supposed to be like mitigated over through Google, and it just didn't happen. Mike, we got like numerous emails about this.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know. Our platform, our streaming platform, was supposed to do it for us. It didn't. This was a fucking ordeal. Getting, I had to take a video of myself proving that I was a person before we could publish this on YouTube.
what did you put in that video? What was it all? What does it entail?
You
Give us
have
a brief synopsis.
You have literally like 3 seconds. It's like, move your head around to prove that you're not. This isn't like a photo. Just say something.
Blade Runner? Are you doing
Yeah,
that test?
yeah. It was.
Did
the Blade.
you romance the stone for those?
I had to romance the stone briefly.
They force you to say you're not getting up from that.
Yeah. Yes, I had to do the catchphrase. Yeah, it was a big pain in the ass, but we're now on YouTube. I guess people. I don't think I've ever like loaded up YouTube unless I needed help fixing something in my house.
Yeah, but you're like 1,000,000 years old.
But I am 1,000,000 years old.
And YouTube has a music app too, and the music app has podcasts and various other things. But regardless, like we're on
welcome. We're on YouTube.
We're on YouTube, so anywhere you could stream podcast, we're on.
Literally. And now we're a little late to this, but we 10,000 listens. We passed the 10,000 mark. So that's cool.
Hey.
And again,
What happens if somebody wants to read the podcast? Would you send them a transcript if they reached out to you?
you can get a
You
transcript,
can get a transcript
from
yeah.
YouTube.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the features on, I believe, Apple, actually, that you could get transcripts.
Yeah.
So I was looking at one of our podcasts, Jeremy, and I was like, what is coming up? And it was Jeremy talking about something, and that was the intro, and that was the transcript coming up. They were noting like things you were saying. So, yeah. So, well, yeah, we're on YouTube. We've gone past 10,000, listens, downloads, and 100 episodes. So thanks everyone involved. And here we are, Romancing the Stone. And we're coming at it kind of big. Director, clearly, Robert Zemeckis. Let's just say Back to the Future right there. We also have the same composer. I don't know if I'm going to get his name right. Alan
Silveresti?
Silveresti? Yeah, sorry.
yeah.
My handwriting's terrible. I should look this up on text. Yeah, he does the score for Back to the Future as well, Polar Express. Robert Zemeckis said from the get-go he loved this guy and worked with him ever since. Mike was wondering, I said there's a little backstory about Zemeckis being involved with this. Yeah, Robert Zemeckis apparently was hired on to do this film. No one thought it was going to do very well. I guess he came in and he did some edits as well to, tighten this up a bit. I guess the movie was a bit longer. This movie was a surprise success. And clearly, this is from 1984. It's picking back off the success of Raiders of the Lost Ark, and people compare it, but they note the script existed 5 years before that movie even came out. So they're like, we had this idea bouncing around. This isn't a ripoff, but clearly, since it's a competitive movie, people are always going to, of the era, people are always going to probably assume that, or, whatever it is. But since it was such a success, Zemeckis got the go to do Back to the Future because of this film. So how crazy. And I want to really note the composer again. The composer is not the Back to the Future composer I know in this movie. Collin was noting the fun chase scenes through the jungle and this kind of like up and down music that's happening. Later on, it's just like this weird synth weirdness. I just don't really know how to explain it. And it was like the whole time in my mind, I'm like, this is the guy who goes on to do, Back to the Future. Such a notable soundtrack. I love Christmas. Polar Express is an amazing soundtrack. You guys watched the Polar Express, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, do notable
The
soundtrack.
creepy Tom
Oh, yeah,
Hanks one.
definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, but that soundtrack is epic.
The soundtrack's good, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like orchestrated, etc. I mean, this is a movie where it's like a guy, maybe a couple helpers, and some Casios along the way. So
Yeah.
definitely the origins of this guy.
I like this soundtrack. I mean, you're right. It's not the Back to the Future soundtrack.
It fits the movie, totally.
It does fit the movie. It makes the movie feel, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but it makes the movie feel like an 80s movie. It kind of dates it.
Oh, yeah.
Like the Back to the Future soundtrack, it doesn't feel like an 80s soundtrack. It just sounds like a soundtrack. But this, like, it you know what you're into in a good way.
What are you into?
Saxophone.
There are some pretty
Jules.
sweet sax solos for you, Paul.
I noticed those sax solos, but those solos are kind of, I don't know, mixed. I want to say mixed into the soundtrack, and that doesn't offend me. I don't know how to explain this. I feel the sax soundtrack of the 80s and early 90s, they just really boost the hell out of that channel of the sax, and it's so domineering. You're like, why is this happening? It's crazy. I don't know. And I've said for ages, I love Neil Gaiman. He's one of my favorite authors. But every time that guy releases some kind of work that like goes to video in some way, there's always sax solos. Like, what's this guy's problem? Stop it.
In Coraline, I think the
Love the
cat was
sax.
playing a saxophone.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a little trill of a sax is fine with me, but don't make that your jam. Like, I don't know why, but every time I hear it, I'm like, okay, it's 1983.
It's a
Like,
very,
why is this happening?
it's a very soothing instrument. I think they just that's their go-to, and there's a lot of variety in it.
But they're not playing it like a soothing
Yeah.
instrument. They're playing it like a squawking
It's also-
bird.
It could be a very
like the saxophone.
versatile instrument too, but the way it's utilized a lot in movies, it's either a intense chase scene or a sex scene, and it's really overpowering when they ramp, like you said, they ramp up the saxophone in both of these scenes, and it just gets really annoying.
God, I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch this. I paid no attention to music. I guess you guys, there's 3 musicians out of this fivesome here, and I never pay attention to the music.
We got you. You don't have to.
Leave it to the experts.
We'll tell you how much I hate certain sax sounds. Yeah, I don't know. Going back, and I think my last word on it would be like, every time I think about those sax sounds, I'm just like, it's gritty. It's in the shadows. I get it. Okay, squawking sax. Oh, it's still going? Great, fantastic.
What about the sax guy from Lost Boys?
I mean,
How do we feel about him?
as an icon, fantastic.
Yeah.
As what he's doing, stop.
You can't have one without the other.
I know. I'm all like, he's the one. Mike, he's the crow. If you're going to go one, you go that guy or you go home.
Was he
Or
play?
or you watch Bad Moms 2 and Mila Kunis tells Kenny G to take his little flute and go home. And he's like, hey, it's not an effing flute. He starts swearing at her. Bad Moms 2, I totally recommend it.
I've not seen that.
Yeah, it's a,
But
it's a Christmas movie.
Is it?
Yeah.
I love Mila Kunis and Kenny.
I
G
like
for
both
that
the
matter.
Bad Moms.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you being serious?
Yeah.
I am too. My wife and I watched them on a whim, and I liked the first one. We both liked the first one, and I was like, "Oh my god, the second one's a Christmas film." And like these movies were out for years before we watched them. I was like, "I'm totally watching this," And I think they're supposed to do a spin-off where it's the moms from the second one are still supposed to do a movie together. Yeah, the movies are like rated R every which way. Like that should sell you on that. Yeah. And Mike, you love Kristen Bell. She's in both of them.
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
He is.
Hell yeah.
Got it all right there.
Yeah, this is win-win for me. Yeah.
Profanity, hell yeah.
Christmas.
Okay. Kenny G.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And now we're in Romancing the Stone.
Yeah. Oh, is that what I forgot.
Yeah, we've established that Robert Zemeckis and his composer are a part of this. We did it all.
Okay.
Who's in this movie, Paul?
Well, before we get to who's in it, I do want to note that one of the writers actually was the featured writer, and it was Diane Thomas. And so everyone else was uncredited, and I will hashtag the other writers when we post this. But I guess the main writer, this is like her last work. She was in a tragic car accident in '85 and died at 39 years old.
Wasn't she the sister in this movie?
Really?
Wasn't one of the writers in the movie?
God damn it!
Maybe.
Wow.
Okay. Fuck. I screwed it
I mean,
up.
it's not Diane Thomas. The sister was Elaine, played by Mary Ellen Trainor.
Oh, okay.
She also died, Mike. So maybe that's what you're
Everyone's
thinking.
they're all dead.
But she died at 62 in 2015.
No, I'm sad now.
Hey, you can't romance all the stones without breaking a few stones along the way. I think that's what I was told. We're on YouTube now.
Yeah.
Check us up on YouTube. Hey, before I fully get into this film, and yes, I'll introduce everyone. There is kind of a shout out because I did see some remnants of what Collin and Lamar have. We are recording this on Mother's Day weekend, and although Hackers was our 100th episode and came out like Friday before, this is being released on the week of Mother's Day and kind of in celebratory ways. We ordered some Voodoo Doughnuts and picked them up, and we're all eating some Voodoo Doughnuts. Hey, Voodoo Doughnuts. We're eating
I am
donuts. Jeremy is not. Jeremy will have some Voodoo Doughnuts when he's back out. Mm-hmm. And we made some mimosas. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there who are doing super rad things and being super rad. Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons we chose this film to feature a little more quickly was Collin's mom loves Romancing the Stone. Any words you want to note on that, Collin?
Just that when I let her know we were doing it, she said, "That's neat." In true mom fashion.
Swell, you guys.
I love it.
Yeah.
Hey, happy Mother's Day to Collin's mom out there. Again, being part of the collective. So, yeah, we got 5 dudes, 4 of them drinking, mimosas and eating donuts and shouting out. Jeremy, what are you doing for the moms out there? Any plans for mom?
I've got to go pick up some flowers in the morning.
Nice.
And a gift card.
Fantastic.
To where?
There you go.
Yeah. Well, the gift card's for my mom.
Okay.
Amy already has her thing, but I
Blockbuster
said
Video?
she likes flowers and whatnot, and I've got some dark chocolate, Godiva chocolates
Nice.
with
Hell yeah.
with mint in them. So yeah,
With mint. Nice.
yeah,
Nice. With mint?
Oh.
That's even better. I like that. Yeah, that's selling me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, yeah, moms.
go.
Those are good.
Shout out.
Yeah, happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's bring us back. Romancing the Stone. We got Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner are going to be the 2 features of this film.
Love Michael Douglas.
Yeah.
Love him.
Danny DeVito in the film. Zack Norman, I don't really know. I recognize him. He was in Cadillac Man, which, I kind of grew up watching. So he plays Ira. And Danny DeVito plays Ralph. Michael Douglas plays Jack Colton, and Kathleen Turner, who is that writer that we noted, is Joan Wilder. We have some other people out there that we'll kind of note along the way. But yeah, we basically get this romance writer, who is Kathleen Turner. I do want to say from the get-go, I think her transformation in this film, I don't really want to say this because it sounds like really jerky, but kind of how she looks throughout the film. They really did a great job of showing this, as they noted in the summary, a mousy writer. She really does turn into this more, self-assured, kind of positive person, and you see it in the way she looks and carries herself. I do feel by the end of the film that transformation is complete. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
She
turns into the woman that basically this entire movie starts with.
Right.
Yeah.
She turns into one of her characters.
Yeah. They really didn't spend a lot of time establishing her mousiness. They really just jumped right into it. So
Right.
Kind of like, because that would have been annoying.
yeah.
Yeah, it would have been. Yeah. It's just like, oh, she dresses kind of conservatively. And then it's like, oh, she's drinking tequila in an airplane, and now she's a badass. Transformation
true, yeah.
complete.
That's how you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it basically starts off that you get almost like a fantasy of hers that they're in the West and there's this guy named Jesse and he might be a reoccurring character and she's always got this fantasy.
Yeah, it's like a narrative of her book, I guess.
Yeah, she's like almost like a Harlequin romance novelist of sorts.
Like the trashy dime
Yeah.
store novels.
Yeah.
She's writing
You see
Lady,
it like
Lady
Walgreens.
Porn.
Yeah. And she always has like this fantasy of a certain fella out there, and her agent Gloria kind of notes this, that they're going to parties and some really weird super 80s fellas in sweaters and deep V's and
Those guys all look really cool, by the way.
yeah, so in the 80s, every dude looked like a werewolf, where he's billowing out of his shirt with hair. His hair was permed like a werewolf would.
They were huge, bulging men.
The Mondo Dismo.
They're Mondo Dismos.
Yeah. What does that mean again?
They're Mondo Dismas.
If you have to ask.
Dismos.
No, I want to know.
They're very dismal. That's I think the translation. They're very dismal. And then you gotta spray your hair up and mustache optional. But she's not into those guys, and Gloria's like, "Come on!"
That's a good Gloria impression.
Is Gloria the mom
on,
from 2.5 Men? Like Charlie Sheen?
I've never really seen. Actually, I could clock this. I watched 10 minutes of 2.5 Men with Lamar once, and he changed the channel, and I've never seen that show since.
I'm glad I saved you. Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe. But she was like,
she is.
"Come on, Joan, you've got to do it." And Joan's like, "No." And Joan, as I kind of noted, is like borderline agoraphobic. I was like, "Oh my God, can you imagine living in, now times?" Joan's going out to get groceries, but doesn't like interacting with society. It's later noted she doesn't even like to travel on planes, but she's an award-winning author. As you kind of get at this pan and scan throughout her apartment, you see she's got these like full-size posters of her books. She's got plaques that she won different awards, but she clearly doesn't travel. She doesn't live or leave outside of New York City where she lives. She's just... That's the mousiness. She's not adventurous. She's afraid. She's timid of the world. And it's very clear that's where her writing strives, that she's living out a fantasy world through her words. So, I mean, she's kind of a complex character of sorts. She wants to be this woman that she writes about. She wants to meet this, idyllic man.
Does she?
I think she wants that. But, she's not going to do anything about it.
She seems pretty happy with that cat.
She does have a cat.
The cat was cute.
She also breaks all of her glassware after drinking out of it.
Yeah, what was that? That was weird.
Why did she have like 50 little like travel bottles, like little tiny shooters?
She doesn't like doing dishes. She breaks every dish. She throws it right
Well,
in
they're
the
easy to
fireplace.
stick in your purse. You can't
Yeah.
just have a handle of Jim Beam in your purse.
Paul,
People
she
make
stole all
suggestions.
of those.
I want to note something. I told this to my wife, I think this morning or yesterday. I've been laughing about it ever since. I don't know if you've seen this online. There's this one picture meme that I saw, and this guy is just like a hand, and it's opening a refrigerator, and there's like tons of just loose eggs. And the meme was, the guy just said, "Every day I go to Walmart and I take 3 or 4 eggs." And apparently he's just putting them in a refrigerator. And I don't know why. I've just been thinking about that for the last full day. I was like, "Guy's a damn genius."
Yeah.
He's going to die.
It's the classic move of putting like the ketchup packets in your purse. You never need to buy it.
That's true.
You just always have the little ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Egg party at that guy's house.
Egg party. That's
You need to just have a closet full of ketchup packets, I guess. I don't know.
and eggs. Apparently.
Yeah, you got
Have you ever been to a ketchup packet and egg party?
Those are the best.
Well, outside of this party where Joan is just not succeeding meeting anyone, nor is she wanting to, we get a hard cut to some bolo rock throwing boy who beats up this woman, kidnaps her and car, and then you see her, and her body being placed on a boat with her luggage very nicely.
That was
And then-
nice of him.
And then they take their car, and her name is Elaine, and that is Joan's sister, and they're kidnapping her. We don't really know why yet, but they're kidnapping the hell out of her. I don't really fully know part of this story. I'm going to ask about this here in a second. But really quickly, I'm just going to jump into it. We get a lot of mysterious things happening. So immediately, Joan's going out. We're at Joan's place. Joan don't remember all that's happening. And basically, this mustachioed fellow, we later learn is named Zolo, is trying to break into her place. And one of, the maintenance guys
Kills the maintenance man.
Yeah. He's like,
Fuck that
hey,
guy.
you can't come in here. And he's like, hey, let me show you something. Stab, stab. That dude's dead.
Knife.
Yeah, Zolo's not messing around. But here's the thing. Elaine eventually is going to call and be like, hey, I was kidnapped. You need to bring me this map. I sent you this map. Did I leave the room for a second or take a note? How did Elaine get this map?
It came in the
It was in the mail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. How did Elaine
Oh,
get
no.
it?
No one fucking knows.
Okay.
I think her husband got the map.
She said something
That's
about
why
her
he
husband.
was killed, because
Yeah.
her husband was murdered. Elaine's husband
Yeah.
was murdered. He got her the map. She mailed it before she was captured by the bolo wielding kid, who also drove off in her stick shift.
Man, bad luck.
I hope that kid got to keep the car.
Yeah, the kid never came back.
Well, he knew
Oh,
how
I'm
to drive
sure.
it, man. Like
Well,
immediately, like
oh,
boom.
yeah, I'm sure that was the trade-off. You go kidnap this woman and get me her, and you could do whatever you want with that car. That kid's like, whatever. I'm gonna do that.
I'll kidnap this lady for free.
Yeah, totally. I wasn't about to do it for a Coke.
I just want to bolo somebody.
He just likes to bolo.
The map thing was a little mysterious to me. I knew she sent it, but I was like, I don't know fully how she got it. And I do remember she was like something, my husband. I knew he was dead. That just seems kind of loose. Like, why did you send it to your sister, who's like a total like recluse, famous author? Why was any of this happening? This is not the Indiana Jones Last Crusade plot that I need.
This screenplay wasn't written by Joan Wilder.
No. Also, I feel one of the biggest plot holes too is, we're gonna meet up with Michael Douglas here in a moment, and he later makes a Xerox copy of this map. That would have been the first thing I did in New York City before I left.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of Xerox machines.
Right, and Michael Douglas.
People
knows, like,
don't know what Xerox machines are either.
Right, like Michael Douglas, like as noted, is so out of touch with the realities. Like the Doobie Brothers broke up, but he knows about Xerox machines. So yeah, okay. just saying.
Just no forethought at all there.
Well, here's the story. Joan's like, oh my God, like my sister called. I need to go and travel and get her. And she goes to Colombia to go get her sister. And
Very safe country.
yeah, and as noted, she doesn't travel and she's scared of everything and she doesn't do well on planes or buses or whatever these things are. And she just needs to get there. And she does arrive in Colombia and she tries to get onto a bus to Cartagena. And she gets on the wrong bus. And Danny DeVito was like, oh my God, she got on the wrong bus and is trying to trail her to divert her to get to the right place. What happens is this mustachioed fellow, Zola, is on the bus. And basically, after a car accident into Michael Douglas's truck of birds and lizards and various other things.
Exotic birds.
Yeah. Goes wrong. Everyone gets off the bus. Zolo tries to kill her. But Michael Douglas is able to fend off her and him by just wielding a shotgun. I like this scene. Zolo pulls out a gun like, haha. And I'm like, I don't even think the gun was needed. You could have just said, I'm going to kill you at this point in
Right.
time.
Like, give me the map.
Yeah.
There's no one else here.
But he pulls out a gun.
Also, there's probably like, I'd say a couple thousand bullets fired in this movie. Not one of them finds their mark.
No.
They're all
You're absolutely
stormtroopers.
right. Yeah.
They all went to the same school. Off-site school.
But so Zola is from the government.
Well, I keep saying Zola. What's Mike? We've talked about this.
It's Zolo.
Colonel Zolo.
I'm gonna say this for reals. I don't like talking about this on the podcast. I don't like that this is gonna be recorded. Mike, what's the demon that keeps popping up in Ouija boards?
Oh, Zuzu?
Yeah.
Zazu?
I think it's Zuzu.
Yeah.
If you're a listener and you like the supernatural like I do, and apparently Mike does, look up Zuzu and Ouija boards. It's not a fun thing where people like historically have been like, that keeps popping up and that keeps telling me things to do. And if you look this up, it's like just a trail of bad, awful stories. But every time we're mentioning this guy's name, that's all I'm thinking of. Zola.
Yeah, we're going to...
Or Zool. Ghostbusters.
Something's getting
Yeah, there you go.
summoned.
Yeah, that's true.
Some kind of demon.
But he works for the government. And, right?
Yeah.
He's like a
Yeah,
military
he's part of
guy.
the secret police.
Yeah.
We don't find that out until he
No,
gets
but
back to
we,
school.
we have like two competing factions here, and that's not really fully explained until later.
Yeah.
Miss Kit Kat.
They're like the illegal antiquities faction, which is like Danny DeVito's side.
Yeah, Danny
and
DeVito
then-
and his weird brother they just want the money. They're just like dudes.
This is not a dream.
Yeah.
Is it not?
Why does Zolo want this? I mean, I'm assuming they all want the stone for cash.
Presumably.
I kind of imagine Zolo as Indiana Jones faction. It's because it belongs in a museum, cultural heritage.
Yeah,
Feels
maybe.
like
Not
that,
with that
but
mustache.
the way he's going about getting it
He's willing
makes
to
me
kill
think
for it.
maybe not.
All right.
No, I don't disagree with Colin all too much. I feel this character is not defined. I mean, there are moments where I would be like, yeah, this guy wants it because he's like very proud of his country and he's like, I'm working for the government and this should stay here. But then at the end, man,
Yeah.
like that guy's clear motives were like, I want cash.
Yeah.
I want all the cash.
What
You knew he was evil when he killed the maintenance man, though.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry for that guy.
I mean, he looks like he's out of Spy vs. Spy. Like that trench coat, that mustache, the knife.
Yeah.
He really loves that knife.
What's a nice knife?
Yeah, it is.
This was it was an emerald.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
A ruby. Well, no. No,
are
yeah, an
red.
emerald.
Emeralds are
green.
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 Ruby red.
Yes.
Ruby red.
What would an emerald of that size be worth?
Dear Lord, I can't even imagine.
$20.
$1.
Yeah, about $350. No, I mean like genuinely. I mean I don't know. The first time I saw this movie, when that was revealed as the treasure, I was like, "But that's it? Like that's
Yeah. So I agree with you, Mike. I mean, so let's say it like this. I can't imagine it's worth more than maybe a couple $1 million today.
Right.
But you might be able to tack on, because I know nothing about this, maybe the size itself, like a pure like emerald of that shape and size, that might mean something. Tack on also some cultural heritage, and then people are probably like tripling down, like, oh my god, it's some kind of significant thing.
Can we talk about this emerald's provenance, or do you want to save it for later?
No, let's do it.
So
It has a sweet story tied to it. It's hidden in a cave. Everyone seems to kind of know about it more or less.
right, but it
In
can't
the
be.
mother's milk.
It can't have been hidden that long ago.
Because of what it's in.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. This seems like a Finn's Gold kind of thing, where someone just put it there kind of recently.
I don't
that's-
disagree. Like,
That's
so-
a big plot hole.
Yeah, I totally agree. There is a huge plot hole. So one of a couple of things happened, and clearly a bunch of question marks. When they do find this emerald, which we'll get to, they do. It's encased in like this weird bunny pottery.
Right. It's like a front yard garden novelty item.
Yeah.
So it's either somewhat recent someone did this, or someone did find it, said, I'm not going to take it, and then put it in there and put it back. So
That
I don't
seems-
know why.
someone-
That's the only explanation,
Someone
considering
found
how
it.
old the map is.
Yeah.
Had a ceramic rabbit with them
Yeah.
through whatever adventure they went on. And we're like, you know what? I've been through this. I don't want this emerald. I'm going to leave it in this. And also, they had to break it to get it out of there. So this thing was like cast around the gem.
Well, I mean, there is literally a village in walking distance away from this thing.
Right, correct.
So someone there might have been like, I know
Yeah.
exactly where this is. I'm going to put it in this weird bunny, and I'm going to put it right back.
I'm
I mean,
gonna
maybe.
make a weird bunny around this emerald
Yeah.
and then wrap it in towels and put it in this little.
I think the answer here is pretty obvious. We have a time traveler
Yes.
situation.
Yes,
Boom.
we do.
Yeah.
Bam.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so part 3.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones.
That's all I've ever wanted, part 3.
You know, when they found the bunny, I kind of thought this whole thing was a setup to get the girl out of New York from the sister.
Oh.
Like, she was never truly kidnapped.
Right.
Yeah.
Like they paid to have her go on an adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would have been a pretty decent plot, actually.
Yeah, like, end reveal. He actually betrayed her because he wasn't actually saving her from anything. The whole thing was a setup.
Yeah.
I think Michael Douglas was in a movie kind of like that called The Game.
Oh, yeah. That's where he got the game. Scored by the game.
Yeah,
He,
probably.
he analyzed Romancing the Stone. He's like, if this were made correctly.
There is nothing wrong with borrowing from your old work.
You know, he's Rap's MVP.
Wow.
Nope. Okay.
Almost.
No big game fans here? Okay. Well, as noted, Michael Douglas comes, wielding a shotgun, saves Joan, Zolo runs off, and Joan is like, hey, I need some guidance, and please help me. You know, this is a life or death situation. and offers Jack $50. $50.
$50.
Yeah, I don't know what that was all about. What the hell? They settle on $375 traveler's checks, and the deal is Jack will get Joan to a payphone. He'll take her to the nearest town with a payphone. The end. And that's the agreement. Memorable scene number one for me. I have two very memorable scenes. I've seen this movie a bunch of times. I grew up watching this movie. I am wondering if Collin's mom has a special affinity for this film, much like I do. This movie was like a core handful of films that was on HBO in the early days constantly. This is how I saw Poltergeist, Romancing the Stone, Star Wars, and a few other films, but it was like on a loop. So I saw this movie like a ton. And one of the most memorable scenes is they're walking along, Joan and Jack are walking along. He's like, hey, like, is there anything important in your luggage? She basically says no. He takes it and throws it as far as he can. He's like clearly had it with her. He's had it with this nonsense. It's pouring rain. And she's like, oh, I need to go get it. And then falls down this huge mudslide. And he's like, you've got to be kidding. And then mid-sentence, he falls down. And the reason I remember this is I was so young when I watched this. All I wanted to do is ride that mudslide. This is like the Goonies sliding down to the pirate ship. It just goes on and on. And like clearly no one gets hurt. So I'm like, I'm watching this as a kid. I'm like, no one could get hurt. This is a movie. I'm living in some kind of fantasy. But it looks like they're on this mudslide for like, I don't know, 3 minutes. Seems great.
Yeah, it seemed way too long.
Yeah, I loved it. They're all muddy at the end. They're in water. Who cares? I knew nothing. I was a moron as a kid. Like I didn't know about bugs, insects, sickness, broken bones. I was like, cool, mudslide forever.
And then in the end, you fall into you get clean. You fall into, it wasn't the cleanest pond, but you wash off the mud.
Fall right into
Michael
and
Douglas
everything's fine.
in between her thighs.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to get dirty to get clean is what you're all telling me.
Yes.
In metaphoric ways and physical ways. I get it.
Before they went down the mudslide, the shady guy stumbled upon Danny DeVito driving a small but quite effective off-road vehicle.
Yeah.
I noticed that at the end especially. Anything goes with that car. You can outrun Jeeps.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the best off-road vehicle that's ever been made.
Yeah. They did it.
Yeah, that and the Volkswagen from Firewalker.
Oh, yeah.
Driving through the goddamn
Man, yeah.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that.
That's true.
Well, when they get to the bottom of this area, basically Zola and his army find them and they shoot and everyone runs. And then they get themselves to a bridge. Joan is able to swing herself across some vines after failing to cross the bridge. Jack is like, oh my God, this is a pretty good idea. Tries it. He fails. I have to give this movie a lot of credit in areas that I didn't think it would go. And sometimes it's just this, and especially when we get to the end. Joan just really kind of like lucks her way. And I don't mean like she's not trying, but she's like, oh my God, I'm on a vine. She successfully swings across. Jack tries to imitate this. He does not successfully get across. He gets almost there, but is more on a rock face. Again, I'm watching this movie not too far off from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Very similar. Lots of crocodiles, lots of cliff faces.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they never really portray him as any kind of badass. He's just a guy who gets birds.
Yeah.
He has a
He was
shotgun.
out looking for
Bird.
exotic animals.
Yeah, like he has a shotgun probably because he needs to because he's in the jungle. He is not a good shot. He doesn't really know how to
Terrible
fight.
shot.
Like he's not an adventurer or a badass. He's a guy who happens to be there.
Yeah.
Mike G, would you bring the sure shot?
Yeah.
That's what you got to do.
I'd rock a sure shot.
Nice job.
Pretty much every opportunity he has to rise to the occasion of a character in one of her novels, he falls short.
Correct.
But he's realistic, so
Yeah.
which is good. I mean, that grounds her too. It grounds her, I feel, into her expectations of what could she become, and she can't become Superwoman either. And there is no Superman. Like that's the thing. She's writing a fiction, but she totally grows, but also realizes the guy, Michael Douglas is way more realistic. And he does some things later too that I think the writing is a little more original. So this is kind of nice.
I also like how when Michael Douglas swings across the gap and like crashes face first into the wall, that she pulls out another little bottle of liquor from her purse and starts drinking.
Yeah.
You gotta.
She kind of sucks. She doesn't really help him at any
Yeah,
point in time.
he was totally on his own there.
Oh yeah. Well, they disappear into the jungle yet again, and they find themselves a nice little cargo plane that crash landed, I'm assuming, somewhere. I mean, I don't know. I'm assuming somewhere in the 60s or early 70s. Michael Douglas makes a comment later like, oh my God, maybe it's this drug dealer's cargo plane, but it seems way too old. The dead pilot's wearing a Grateful Dead t-shirt. There's pounds of marijuana.
The pilot's corpse leaning out the window, still wearing his aviator
Aviator
sunglasses,
I like
was good for me. I like
Yeah,
that.
I like that a lot.
Yeah,
well,
they
also
find-
that corpse has been gone for a long
Yes.
time.
Well,
and
that-
like the Doobie Brothers, like that magazine,
Right.
the timeline didn't really add up on that.
I'm gonna
crash
go.
scene there.
I'm gonna get all super nerd with you. Yeah, the Doobie Brothers and all that stuff. There is indications of like what the timeline is, but the nerd in me is the decomposition of that corpse in a jungle would be super quick, dude.
Yeah.
Like
well,
all,
like
all
in the
moistures
growth that
and-
was in the plane
Yeah.
too.
It would have been carried off by predators. before
Oh
that.
yeah,
But this just goes to show what a high quality item those Ray-Ban aviators are.
nice.
Yeah.
This is
Brought to you by Ray-Ban.
Ray-Ban. If you bring us the glasses, we'll talk about them. Ray-Ban.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
Hit us up.
5
Ray-Ban.
pairs. 5 pairs.
Are you a Colorado sunglasses company? I'll wear your sunglasses at night.
5 pairs.
Ooh.
I'll Corey Hart you.
Hell yeah.
Corey Hart you right in the face. Look at me. Look at me. Can you see
Wow.
my eyes? No, you can't
you
because I'm wearing your
can't,
sunglasses. I wear them at night.
Yeah. Are you that guy that makes wooden sunglasses and bow ties that I always see at Christmas markets? Write us.
I don't know what any of them.
I'm not wearing that fucking bow tie. If you go to any of like the makers markets around the holidays, there's always a guy who has like a booth where he makes wooden bow ties and sunglasses.
I want to tell you a story, Jeremy.
A wooden bow tie.
Whoa,
Yeah.
Jeremy. Mike can't see him unless he's had 7 of the holiday seasonal drinks.
Yeah.
Those.
He only appears.
It's like a spirit.
Those
you
are
have to have-
magic bow ties.
You have to have 8 cups of glue wine.
The trick question is, in A Christmas Story, how many ghosts were there? There's actually 4 because, Marley was a ghost too. Mike's seen the 5th ghost, which is my new drink. 5th ghost. Brought to you by 5th Ghost.
That's like the hot new party drink from like Parks and Rec.
I'm going to write 5th Ghost.
Yeah, don't give that out. You might want to
TM,
do that.
TM.
There you go. We got him.
Hashtag 5th ghost.
Yeah.
Did it.
Perfect.
It's the one you got to watch out for.
We did it.
I'm ready.
That
Well-
man had the 5th ghost.
Well, as they're in the plane, they find a bunch of tequila. They drink it. They burn all this pot for warmth. So they're hotboxing pot. They're
Yeah.
drunk off tequila. I think she finds some olives. They
They have a bottle of olives.
and she passes right the hell out. I could only imagine how you would feel the next day. Well, let me throw this out. If you have not seen this movie, they didn't just burn a little pot. They burned, I don't know, I'm guessing
kilos.
50 pounds.
Kilos.
50 pounds of pot in a 4x4 room and fell asleep in it while drinking tequila.
And
Let me ask you this though:
severely
do you think
dehydrated.
you would feel better in that situation or falling asleep after inhaling VHS fumes from burning those?
Probably better after the VHS fumes.
All right.
There was a lot of tequila.
It was a bottle.
I've got a stack of a stack of VHS tapes out in my my woodshed.
Okay. If
Are
the
you
power
bur-
goes out, you can burn them for
Yeah,
warmth.
are you
Yeah.
burning them?
Yeah, we burned some last night actually.
Just for
on
fun.
movie night.
Just for fun.
That's what movie night is.
This is
Out
burning.
east.
Well,
Look at the northern lights.
oh yeah.
That was just you burning VHS tapes.
Yeah.
Man, you duped the whole country.
My pictures were just of the normal sky.
I knew it.
It's phenomenal.
Well, during this whole plane situation, each Joan and Jack are making cutesy with one another. Jack reveals that his big dream would be to find, to strike it rich and to buy a boat. He just wants to sail around the world. He also finds the map and inquires about this. He's like, whoa, like what's going on here? She explains the situation, like I've got to trade this. And he's like, he's very interested. I'll say that. Like, I know more about the film. I mean, clearly we're going to find this jewel, various other things. But at the time, he is interested in this. And you do find something that Danny DeVito later says to be ultimately true. Jack is basically a con artist, and he is nudging her in certain directions for the rest of the movie. Do I think Jack falls for Joan? I absolutely do. Do I think that's proven by the end of the movie? Absolutely. But Do I think that con artist, I need to make some money, is coming in now? Sure. And then
You know what? I don't know if I agree with that though, because a con artist doesn't go spend like months, years maybe, out in the jungle looking for exotic animals to sell.
No.
on, like, the black market.
I think he's been. Well, he says like I always do the easy way. I do this.
Yeah.
Like this guy's kind of like a grifter.
Yeah, he's less of a con artist and more of like an opportunist with a limited skill set.
I think now Danny DeVito later
That's
turns out
me.
to be right. I think the Jones situation is he's more of a con artist. Like he's not out to get her, but he's out to get his. If that makes sense. I don't know. And then Mondo Dismo is noted, so a bunch of Mondo Dismo stuff. But we learn about the Devil's Fork. X gonna give it to you.
What?
Give it to you real hard.
And they take that fork right to the village. They fork right off. I love this village scene. This village scene, although I said there's two very notable, memorable scenes, this is not like one of them, but this is one of my favorite scenes of the film. They get to this village and all of a sudden like dudes just start walking out their front door with guns. Mm-hmm. And Michael Douglas says, these are drug runners, just act tough. What's going on? Some guy calls him out. He turns around. Jack is, cocking the gun. Joan jumps in. We need a car. The guy's like, okay, there's only one car. It's up the road. And these guys keep following them. They knock on this guy's door. He shoves a gun in all their faces. He's like, get the hell out of here. And all the guys that were following him clearly are about to shoot them all. And an off-side comment saves their lives. Jack just goes, Joan Wilder, how are you going to write us out of this one? And the guy behind the door holding the gun is like, Joan Wilder, the romance writer? Oh my God, I love you. I read all of your books. And then tells all of his men, he's like, these stories I read to you at night, these bedtime stories, that's Joan Wilder. And everyone's like, oh my God. I love everyone's immediate reaction to this. Like, holy shit, Joan Wilder's here. She's the best thing ever. I can't believe you're in our village. This is amazing. And the main guy, Juan, opens the door. He's like, come on in. Let me show you around. And it is an insane mansion.
Dude, this house is dope, man.
It is, yeah.
It looks like shit from the outside, but inside, it's nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's got like a water fountain. Yeah,
Very nice.
It is very nice.
It looked like just when they're knocking on the wall to get inside the main entrance of not even a house. It was just the front yard, which was huge, and the house was in the back.
Right.
So this was like the intro to the house.
Who is this guy?
I never caught his name.
Is he like the king of the drug dealers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he does not look like. I think he's just the local drug dealer. I don't think he's like a cartel member.
No, he's not. Yeah.
He didn't need a name, and for the brief moment that he's in this movie, he stole it for me. He was the best part of the movie for me.
Juan. That's his name.
Mike, do you know where he's from?
Juan.
Do you know another huge movie that he's from that we should totally do?
Three Amigos.
I know he's
Three
in another.
Amigos.
Yeah.
Three Amigos.
Yeah,
and he's great in it.
He is. Yeah.
He plays
Yeah.
the same character. in
Totally.
Three-
Yeah.
That's fine. If you're going to be typecast like this is the way to do it.
Yeah.
I love him in this movie. And so he basically is giving a tour of this sweet mansion, totally ignoring Jack. Read her book, you're a dummy. Then they all hop in this huge Ford truck and they just start gunning it through the jungle.
Yeah, because the secret police showed up.
Yeah,
And
Zolo's
also,
there.
how do the drug dealers not know that these are the secret police? I feel like everybody in Colombia knew who these guys were.
I'm pretty sure everyone's getting paid off at this point in time. I don't think anything's by the books. They're clearly there to just find Jack and Joan, or Joan. I don't know if they know anything really about Jack. But yeah, they drive through. I do like this, that Juan has an extended bridge at one point in time.
With this little remote ramp.
Yeah, genius. He's like, I've escaped sometimes. And they're like, we're not going to make this jump. He's like, I've got a ramp. And then they, floor it off this ramp and jump part of this ravine. And then he puts the ramp in just blockade mode. And the other car just drives into it and off. So,
But his ramp's broke now.
He probably has to fix it every once in a while. I'm
he's got
assuming.
he's got a ramp guy for that.
It's detachable.
Yeah.
yes. Yes, it is. Finally, they do get to a village. Right before this, they find the Devil's Fork. They're kind of just stop and randomly They turn around and there's this huge kind of tree structure. Jack realizes it's the Devil's Fork,
But he plays it cool because she doesn't know he's seen the map.
And Joan, super note is she knows it too. She says later, I know exactly what it is, but she totally plays it off that she does not. Juan's like, I can't really go into this town, but I'll drop you off, and I'll get you as far as I could get. And they leave off as friends.
I like how before they go into the town, though, Juan is washing his truck, like out in the middle of the
Right.
Of course. Wouldn't you?
Like, what is he doing?
It's his little mule. He's got to keep it nice.
Little Pepe.
It's the only truck in town, you know?
So during this time, Jeremy, I want to let you know, we took a very quick break. We took like a 2-minute break. Everyone got drinks, a little potty break, etc. But then we came back to a conversation. I just wanted to put you in the mindset, and I'm just going to write what I wrote down. I'll share with you. Mike's pudding rings.
We did have a conversation about pudding rings.
Yes, Mike's pudding rings. What comes to your mind?
Mike after Taco Bell.
There you go. No, that's really close to what the discussion was.
Jesus.
What kind of podcast are we right now?
Mike's pudding rings.
This is RTS After Dark.
Pudding.
I think the pudding rings are going to be brought up here.
You can hear it. This very moment is when YouTube kicked us off the platform.
Yeah. Like, okay.
I'm not transcribing anything.
Yeah. Transcription over. I don't care if you took a video proving you're a person.
Lamar was talking about how he loved putting sweet pudding rings into his mouth and all over his face. And Mike's like, Mike's pudding rings. And I wrote that down, Mike's pudding rings.
That's verbatim the conversation that we had.
How every
true.
Friday
I'm
night,
not
Lamar's
sure
on
the
prowl for
context
pudding
of
rings.
Lamar's point of view on this, but
Well, I have to explain what a pudding ring is, and you probably just don't have the time to hear it.
I think he does now.
Well, you gotta pay. You gotta pay for that.
Yeah.
It's gonna take too long to explain.
I walked in the room. Collin was catatonic on the floor.
This week on Patreon, Lamar describes what a pudding
There you go.
Lamar
Hey,
eats
I lock it behind a high wall.
Lamar eats them for all of you sensory fans out there. Live, he unwraps them.
Everybody, go out and get a pudding ring and put it in your mouth.
Yeah.
Find Lamar
this
on
is the
Cameo.
pudding ring episode.
OnlyFans. Lamar's on OnlyFans. Yes. So,
Are they in the town yet?
they are in the town.
Yeah,
and Joan calls in, as I said, checks in, and also pays Jack. Here's my traveler's checks. He's like, I could at least buy you dinner. He's like, I got us a hotel room. I'm going to get us some clothes. The whole night's really nice. They're dancing.
Danny
Danny
DeVito tries
DeVito.
to steal the diamond.
Yeah, Danny DeVito's there. They don't have the diamond
map, I
yet.
should say.
Yeah, the map.
Yeah, the map.
Yeah, they're really getting along. You could really tell that at this point in time, Jack is enamored with Joan.
Yeah.
And there's like, there's a duality. He clearly wants that gem. He clearly wants that money. But he does like her. So I don't know. You see it kind of all come together. Danny DeVito is in the village. He's running around like a little scamp doing stuff. As Jeremy noted, he's trying to get the map. He's doing some weird stuff. I like Danny DeVito in this movie. Side note, there is a movie or there's a sequel to this movie. I don't know if we'll ever watch it.
Jewel of the Nile, yeah.
Yeah, terrible reviews. I've only seen it a couple times in my life. Even as a kid, I was like, this movie kind of sucks.
Yeah, I didn't care for it.
Yeah.
It's not good. I don't know. I've seen it a couple times.
I don't even remember
It's
what
kind
I
of a
was
dumb, fun watch. Like Danny DeVito's, he teams up. He's like a good guy now,
Oh.
sort of.
Well, you do kind of root for him throughout.
I mean, yeah, he's just kind of pissed off at his brother the whole time, trying to do the thing. He's crawling around under tables.
Yeah, he wants to retire. His brother or his cousin. His cousin is like, "Fuck no, man!
Yeah,
We got one more deal."
Yeah, so I threw that in my notes. So yeah, Jeremy, I'm glad you're pointing this out. So their backstory is so there's Ralph and Ira, Danny DeVito, and his cousin.
Yeah.
Okay, and his cousin, and so they've been doing scams and jobs for years. And Danny DeVito's like, we have stocked up enough money. We could literally retire and live comfortably for the rest of our lives. Why are we doing this? He's like, no, you got to trust me. He's like, dude, why are we doing this?
Well, he said one more score. This was the
big
last
score.
one.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I guess that's it. But it seems foolish, and the folly is all throughout this film.
Well, I mean, it's really just a folly for what's Danny DeVito's name?
Ralph.
It's really just a folly for Ralph, because he's the one that gets his ass kicked. Crawling around under the table. That woman thinks she's looking up her skirt.
Getting his ass beat by
I
a
lost
fat
my
Spanish lady.
langoustine.
I wrote that in my notes.
And then she beats the shit out of him.
Yeah, Danny DeVito is up some woman's skirt under a table accidentally because he lost his Langenstein. And as Mike noted, just beats the piss out of him. And that goes on for quite some time. He gets Langenstein right there.
Yeah.
We're really there at the next morning, too. So this is kind of the con artist. And I do agree with Danny DeVito. I mean, you guys could disagree with me. Danny DeVito calls him out for this. And I feel this is the motion. So they do spend the night together, Jack and Joan. He does make a Xerox copy because the hotel they're staying at has a copy machine. He gets a copy, slips the map back into her bag. And then the next day they go pursue the treasure. Joan figures out if you fold the map in a certain way, like it was Mad Magazine, it creates a waterfall. They hear a waterfall when they get to the Devil's Fork, which is a pitchfork. And she's like, there's a waterfall. She folds the map. She's like, it's forming a waterfall. They go there.
Well, it creates a heart.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it
Yeah.
says Le Corazon on the map, which means the heart.
Yeah, but in the middle, then there's the waterfall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Aw.
Cute.
And then they go there.
Don't go chasing waterfalls, guys.
But if you do chase waterfalls,
Make sure there's a heart in it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, totally.
I'll take you to mother's milk.
Yeah, they get to the mother's milk. It's, there's like basically this area of this cave is kind of like clay and white, and it's forming what looks like
From
milk.
stalactite droppings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they dig there, and this is where our inquiry is. They dig there and they find this tchotchke bunny like porcelain statue.
Yeah, it looks like something you would see at like a flea market.
Right.
So if I were to guess, it was from the 60s or 70s. That's kind of what
That's
it
what
looks
it looks like, yeah.
And remember, this movie's from 84. Right.
So presumably not that old.
Yeah, so here's a crazy piece of dialogue. This could have been cut out or rewritten. So Jack is like, oh my God, someone's got a sick sense of humor. And Joan says, well, in one of my novels, I had one of the characters hide the actual treasure in a statue. Was he not going to open the statue? Was he just going to put it back? Right. Yeah. Like, he has this attitude of like, there we go, we lost.
Well, I kind of assumed he thought that that's all there was. Like, someone wore this piece of
that's what I
junk.
mean. Yeah. Like, would you not instantaneously break it or feel the heft of it?
And when
out
he
of
dug
anger.
it, when he dug it out, didn't he say, "Oh, this is a sick joke"?
Yes.
He like turned around, was like, "All right, let's go back to
Time
the
to
Yeah, so they break it, and clearly this huge emerald is there, and that is the heart. And immediately Ralph is there with a gun. Thanks for finding this for me. Now get the hell out. I'm taking this with.
Well, Ralph is there. We didn't talk about this. Ralph is there because in the morning they steal Ralph's car with Ralph in it. So they
he
have
sleeps in
basically
the back of his car.
Yeah, they brought him along. He didn't follow him so much
true.
as they kind of towed him.
all I could really say to that is, sloth love chunk.
Sloth does love junk.
He does.
I think the thing that pisses me off about the rabbit is like, this scene didn't even need to be there. They could have just found the thing, and it wouldn't have impacted the movie at all.
I totally
Right.
agree.
They
Exactly.
introduced a
What is
plot
the
hole.
rabbit's purpose?
Right. They
What is
introduced
the
a plot hole
purpose
that
of it?
like had no. It just gave her the
It could have
opportunity
just
to be
been
like,
the
I wrote
jewel
that in a
that
book
fucking
sometime.
ratty cloth.
I agree with all of you guys
That
across
was-
the way.
that was dumb.
It should have been wrapped up, or it was some like ancient pottery where you're like,
Yeah.
Right.
like I understand, like it was more of an art piece than anything else. And then she's like, screw that, break it open, and then there's a gem.
Right.
But
That would've been dope.
What would you have hidden the emerald in?
Pudding ring.
Yeah, thank you, Mike.
Oh, there we go.
Where do you put your chips?
All right. Pudding ring.
Brought to you by Sweet Gooey Pudding Rings. Lamar puts his mouth on it.
Did you say Satan's pudding rings?
How dare you? How dare you in this holy house?
Everybody needs a pudding ring.
Yeah, you heard him say it. So they were asking for it, Lamar?
They were begging for it.
Colin's dead.
There goes
Colin's choking on a pudding ring.
Yeah.
And Mike's putting on his belt.
Pudding on his belt.
There's your DNA evidence.
My belt is a pudding ring.
I don't know what to say to
Damn.
that, sir.
This bunny thing is so enraging. We should probably just write a letter.
I actually think that
Dear Michael Douglas.
Dear pudding
it probably meant something but they exited out earlier. Like it probably signifies something, but
It
they
does
took
feel
that
like
part,
a call out to like something that was cut.
and
right?
it was
Yeah.
cut, and they
There
just left that in.
there were edits to this film. Like I think it was on IMDb. I always read a couple pieces of trivia articles, etc. But I think it was an IMDb piece of trivia. There was like Zemeckis went back and like did like I want to say like at least 30 minutes of plus editing in this film.
Yeah.
There was like much longer.
Well, it's because Zemeckis he was fired by the producers based on the audience's first reaction to the screening film. Wow. Then he went back and did the edits. The film was a success, and Ron Howard went on to direct Cocoon, which Zemeckis was supposed to direct, but he got fired.
But then they gave him Back to the Future,
and then they gave him Back to the Future.
Crazy.
There you go. That's it. That's crazy.
Well, they get out of this cave. Ralph's got the gem, and Zolo and his army buddies roll up. And basically, I love Danny DeVito just bolts.
He
Runs
just
off.
fucking books it.
So Joan gets in the car, just basically the indestructible car that Jeremy noted that could do anything better than any army vehicle or truck that we've seen. They gun it. Jack gets out, beats up Danny DeVito, takes the gem. They drive off. Danny DeVito is quickly captured, and Joan runs into a river, and then they float downstream for a little bit.
Well, they drive off a waterfall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they wind up on
Forgot the
the opposite
waterfall,
sides of the river.
A different waterfall.
Yeah, but you don't go chasing them.
No, well, they did, and they fell off. And
They
on
were on
different
opposite sides of the pudding ring.
Yeah.
And she's like, "You motherfucker, you planned this." He's like, "We fell off a waterfall, lady."
I know.
Like, this wasn't me.
Yeah, and he's like, "What's the hotel we're supposed to go to?" He's like, "Hotel Cartagena." And he's like, "Okay,
I'll meet you there." Yeah.
Yeah, so they go there.
Well,
he's like,
separately,
he's like, "Follow the sunset."
Right.
I would just die. Cool.
Paul curls up and just dies.
Yeah, so she goes, and he's like, "I'll find a way." And Zolo's men are now shooting at them mid-conversation, so they, scamper off. And she does go to that hotel. She calls Ira, and he's like, "Hey, in 2 hours, you're going to take this little boat. You're going to meet me." It's weird, because I thought they were going to, like, a massive boat to meet. But then in 2 hours, it's pitch black, and I had to ask Mike. I was like, "What is the structure they're in?" And he's like an old fort.
Yeah, I mean, I that's a guess. It's like an old.
It looks like a temple fort. It's very bizarre.
Yeah, it's like an old stone structure. I mean, it's not like Incan or anything, but it's like, I don't know,
Infested with fucking crocodiles. Though.
Lousy with crocodiles.
So
Oh my god.
So Joan calls the front desk and sees if Jack checks in. He is not. She goes on her own. And Ira says on the phone, "You better come alone or I'm going to kill your sister." And now memorable scenes, part 2 come up. My first one was the mudslide. Everything to do with these freaking crocodiles at the end. Like, I was like just a kid watching this. Everything with the crocodiles is just bananas.
There's a lot of crocs.
Yeah, so they're at this fort structure.
Steve Austin comes swooping in like motherfucker.
So they have all these crocodiles around the fortress, which is weird. They do have a pit of crocodiles, which makes, I guess, more sense. They've got 20 or whatever crocodiles in a pit. Okay. But then there's all these crocodiles just hanging around. Hell no to this. What the hell? Why are people even going here?
I don't know. Maybe you're not supposed to.
Probably not. There's like 5 crocodiles and you stick...
What are you
has
going to
pet
do?
crocodiles.
Like, they're there. It's not like you can just ask them nicely to leave.
Well, I mean, why would this be your destination? Like, meet me at the crocodile hell pit. Like, cool. Like, you got crocodiles in a pit. Oh, and by the way, if you go by the water, there's a bunch of crocodiles. Like, hell no to this.
Like,
even if I was a henchman, I'd be like, no.
Why didn't they just go to the hotel?
Yes,
they
Mike.
could have met there.
You could have appetite tapas.
No.
You could have had tapas.
You could have a nice drink.
Pronounced tapas.
Give Mike some tapas.
Yeah,
Based off of how this negotiation went, that would have been a lot easier.
it would have been way smoother. I mean, it's Cartagena. It's like a city synonymous with like drugs and crime.
And crocodiles.
And crocodiles. Like, I'm sure no one in the hotel
Yeah,
would
no
have
one
cared
cared.
about a little prisoner exchange in the hotel lobby.
It's common.
It's totally fine. That's
how you do it.
Very normal.
Look, Jeremy's booking hotel tickets right now. He's like, I'm taking tickets.
I'm Googling pudding rings.
Okay.
I knew it.
Be careful.
Don't go down that rabbit hole.
Turn on safe search.
Here's a little Google tip. When you type that in, type in XXX. It just zooms in. It just zooms in.
Yeah, you'll want the bigger picture for all the detail.
Enhance.
He's finished.
He's become a pudding ring. He's the town pudding ring.
I'm exiting out of this podcast now and buying pudding rings.
You're on a list.
I've had some tattoo ideas for you.
Sweet ink, bro. What is that? It's a pudding ring.
So Joan goes there and meets Ira, and basically this
Ira
meets Ira in this corridor, and Ira's like, "Hey, I've got your sister." He's like, "All right, let me see her." She's like, "Hey, I'm here." And he says, "Throw it on the map, and it better be authentic." I like that he's all business.
Yeah.
Throw it on the map, back off. He walks over and investigates, put on a little jeweler's monocle to make sure that this is authentic. Looks deep into that map.
Have you ever authenticated a map before, Paul?
I have not. I can tell you about the legend and the access. But with all of this, he says very directly, if you are tricking me in any which way, I'm going to kill you both right now. He seems very sincere about this. I know he's made some jokes, and him and his interaction with his cousin are a little more comical, but his interactions here seem super sincere. I'm going to kill you. And then I love this moment. He looks at both of them. He's like, your sister, you're free to go.
He's got his map. He didn't care.
Yeah, and just totally lets her go. I know Elaine and Joan embrace. Like, oh, it's good to see you. I'm like, get the hell out of there. Like, save the embracing.
Leave.
There's like 5 people with knives and guns.
And so many crocodiles.
That's true. It's a crocodile.
Yeah, and they take a step backwards, and all of a sudden guns go off. This is kind of a confusing scene for me for one quick second. Because Michael Douglas walks in, and for a second, you think he might have shot the gun. He doesn't have a gun, but he's the only one there. He's like, hey, I missed you at the hotel. And she's like, yeah, but then clearly it pans a little back or to the right, and you see Zola and his army, and they have Jack captive. They throw Danny DeVito, Ralph to the floor, and they're like, my gold. Good God, Lamar, let's backtrack for a second. This dude is this mustachioed fellow is the same villain in DuckTales. Are you kidding me?
He's not as demented, but yeah, he has the same mustache, the same voice. I don't know if you guys would have to actually go see DuckTales and then make the comparison. We just caught us straight there. I don't know how many people were watching this movie and making a comparison to DuckTales.
Like the new DuckTales series?
No, it's the DuckTales movie from
the original, like 87.
Yeah,
Where he dives in corn.
Researched this. I totally forgot about it, but
my gold.
He's probably based off of this guy.
Probably.
Maybe. I have to think about
so
that.
if you watch the original DuckTales 87, the original DuckTales show was aired originally as a movie on a Sunday night, and it later was broken up into 5 episodes, episode 1 through 5. But the premiere was this, and it was a story of how Huey, Dewey, and Louie were with Uncle Scrooge and how they found their original gold. And the villain is looking for the fountain of youth and gold, and my gold. And this guy is exactly the same: trench coat, mustache, hat.
Oh man, I have vague memories of this.
Initially looking for a map.
Yeah, like it is like pretty much the same person. Someone should look up that dude's name in that episode.
That'd be interesting if there's a connection.
Probably. But yeah, so this guy wants his gold, man.
He does.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, he does want the emerald. He takes the map and he burns it.
Yeah, he's like, they've already got
They found it. You're fucked.
Yeah, map's no good.
And weirdly, Ira's like in disbelief. He's like, no, they don't. I'm like, dude, there's like a bunch of dudes with guns. Shut up.
Well, moments ago, Danny DeVito was like, I've seen it.
Yeah.
I held it.
Yeah, he's like, I held it. Now I'm going to use these same hands to break every bone in your body.
Right. And then seconds later, what's her name's like?
Joan. They asked Joan,
Joan's
like, where is it?
We didn't find it.
Yeah, we didn't find anything. We looked for it, but someone already got it. Yeah, so like what? Like that dude just said he had it.
Weird move. But,
So then Zola
Zohan.
Zolo. Yeah, Zolo, sorry. Zolo cuts Joan's hand and starts having her bleed into the water with all these crocodiles. And he's like, they're going to bite your hand off until you tell me where this is.
Is that a thing, like sharks?
I have no idea.
No way.
Yeah, I was gonna say, he just seemed like he was being a dick.
I mean, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure he's just being a dick.
Yeah, I don't think that's the way.
Okay.
So then he says, this tale about, crocodile tears. They shed tears when they kill their prey. You're going to be their prey. You've heard these stories. They're going to cry, but, whoops. So Jack is like, hey, I have the emerald, I'll give it to you. And he's like, well, you tell me where it is. And oddly, the guard uses the butt of the gun to jab it right into his crotch, which is very, very like a weird movie. You think it'd be his stomach, his face. No,
that guard likes the crotch stuff.
Ooh, good going on this detective. He does it right into his crotch, and that's where the jewel is. It falls down.
Was it in his crotch?
Yeah.
Or was it like someplace else?
No, it was his crotch.
Pudding ring.
Jeremy, I thought it was in his pudding ring.
That's what I'm saying.
Or in his stomach.
Yeah.
I thought he got
Like he
hit in
was
the
like
stomach and it
maneuvering
fell.
around like he was like
He was wearing it as a
deposit from the fucking prison person.
Yeah, he had new athletic wear. When you get the master sword, or in this movie, when you get the master emerald cupping.
I do like how this scene was shot. How the Jim's rolling down his leg, and there's like no music there's no music in the background. It's like silent as it rolls down his leg, and it's a really long scene.
Yeah, he hacky sacks it, so it rolls to his shoe, and this is the scene where you could tell, like, you have your choice. Like, do you want to like fight? Do you want to like really go for this gem, or do you want to try to save Joan because you clearly have a romantic connection with her? And he, like, you could tell, I like it. He like doesn't really give it a second guess. He's like, you want it, go have it, and he just kicks it, and it goes flying into the air. Right into Zolo's right hand. And I love the look on his face. He's like, thank you. And a crocodile bites it right off. And Collin and I basically simultaneously note he just got hooked. Captain Hook loses his hand. He freaks the hell out, as one would. He goes crazy-eyed to extra crazy-eye. You will now see his true form.
I also want to make note here that if you notice, after he gets his hand bitten off, throughout the rest of this scene, he is still smoking his cigar.
Yeah.
All right. His fucking hand just got bit off by a fucking crocodile, and he is still smoking a stogie.
Let's go stage 1 to 2. Stage 1, he kind of wraps up his stub hand with some kind of weird bandaging. Stage 2, he immediately lights this super long stogie and smokes it. I looked at all these guys. I'm like, unless that was just like chocked full of drugs to dull the pain, I was like, I don't know why you're
like
doing
it's a fucking heroin stogie.
Sure. Like, your hand was just bitten off. You probably need some kind of anything. No, he's just smoking a cigar and is actively pursuing Joan and is going to kill her.
Well, and he picked up a plank with a bunch of nails out of nowhere. Where did this come from?
Yeah.
Anywhere,
a lot of people
probably.
had guns. He picked up a piece of driftwood.
Yeah.
Well, he had one hand to smoke his cigar. He didn't have all the hands for the guns.
Wait a minute. We're talking about a guy whose hand was bitten off by an alligator and he's smoking cigars. Is this Chubbs from Happy Gilmore?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
It's all
Carl Weathers.
yeah.
This is the inspiration of Carl Weathers.
It all came around.
You know they're making a Happy Gilmore too?
Really?
Are they really?
That's confirmed. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'll be down.
Boom.
I want to change that. I don't think we need a Happy Gilmore too.
So, so we have a departure. Jack, I don't really know where Elaine is right now. She's doing God knows what.
I have no idea.
I don't know. We have another departure, which is one of my favorite scenes of the movie, where Ira and his goons leave on a little boat to get to the bigger boat. And Danny DeVito's like, hey,
You left me.
you left me. And he's like, no, we'll come back. He's like, when? Real soon.
I'll send the boat right
I'll
back.
send the boat right back. As he's climbing
2
onto
to
his
3
bigger
days.
boat. He's like, but are you going to bring the big boat? It's like, right now, we're doing it.
Yeah, they're only like 500 feet away.
Right.
Too.
Like,
It's like
they're
30 seconds.
conversing.
Yeah,
I love that
so
movie.
Danny DeVito's left for dead. Ira and his goons get on this boat. We see that for a moment. We'll come back to there in a second. Jack is trying to get the alligator who bit the hand and the gem back because it's trying to escape back into the water. Jack is failing at this. Joan is fighting off Zolo. And he is winning.
Doing a good
kind
job of it, actually.
Yeah. Well, at first she's not. She's kind of getting cornered. And this is a note. This is some writing that I really like. So Jack is given like kind of this ultimatum. It's like, are you going to do the alligator and get your gem, or are you going to save the girl you love? He's like, damn it. And he lets the alligator go. One of the pieces of writing I really like is this. He quickly rolls over, gets this gun, All of a sudden, Zolo's in his sights. He clicks it. There's no bullets. I didn't really expect it. I thought he would miss or something. I was like, oh my God, after all that. He then scales a wall, fails, and has to rescale it. Now, Jeremy, I totally agree. Joan does a great job. This is the writing I like. Joan does not need Jack in any of this. And I think that's kind of the most important aspect of this story. That Joan is like, I need this Jesse. I need this guy that I wrote to save me. But in reality, I need
the final transformation of Joan.
Yeah, she needs nothing. She could rely on herself. And I think this is actually done well. She's now put in a situation she has to fend for only herself. And she does it. So he comes after her. He throws a knife. It goes into the plank at one point in time. This is where I think Elaine passes out. Then he comes after her. And then I don't remember this. How how does it go? Because he's about to get
she kicks him, and he like falls back through that grate.
Well, no,
into the crocodiles.
It's the cigar, right?
Oh, it's the cigar first.
The cigar! Yeah, that comes into play.
He never lets that cigar go. She reaches for the plank to try to smack him with it. She can't quite reach it. She grabs the cigar, burns him in the face, flips him over,
and then lights a bustle lantern on him.
Yeah,
and now he's on fire. Then falls into the crocodiles, and she does it all herself. Right. And like, I think that was good writing. It was good that she didn't need anyone else. Then Jack appears.
He's like, aha! Oh.
And comforts her. Gotcha. She like freaks out, as anyone would. Mm-hmm. And he's like, yeah, anything that you need. And immediately leaves. He's like, great job. Call the police.
He jumps into the ocean to go get after this crocodile.
Yeah, don't tell anyone about me or my name. Great to see you. She's like, you're leaving? He's like, yeah. And then we basically get a flash forward. Joan successfully writes this amazing new book. Gloria, her agent, is like, it's amazing, Joan. It's amazing. Order this woman another bourbon. I'm drinking frothy milk that Mike noted earlier with liquor in it.
Mother's milk.
It's blue.
Oh, her blue egg cream, whatever the fuck it was. Yeah.
And so Joan's doing well. She's, looking better. She's looking more vibrant. It's clearly she's had a taste of adventure. She's putting it in her books. You could just see it in like the way she carries herself. She's bought some groceries. She's walking home, and hey, there's a huge boat in New York City on the street.
This is fucking ridiculous.
Right in front of her apartment building.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. He was in Colombia for a couple years. He didn't really realize you could just call her.
Yeah.
Write her a letter.
Well, he didn't know about the Doobie Brothers.
But he did say, hey, I even read one of your books. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they've had no communique, I guess, this whole time, which is bizarre. But the first thing he does is flash his new crocodile boots.
Mm-hmm. He's in a sailboat that's being hauled by a trailer. And this sailboat has an 80-foot mast in the middle of fucking New York City. Like this. It's so stupid, dude.
Jeremy, when you float to Neverland, you float up.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I forgot about
New York's traffic is historically bad because there aren't any traffic lights.
That's true.
Yeah.
Float up.
Yeah, all the stoplights in New York City are 90 feet tall.
Yeah.
Well,
that's true.
Then they make out, and they're like, hey, baby cakes, I'm into you, and you're into me.
Hey,
I'm into your pudding ring.
Yeah.
And they share pudding rings.
Yeah.
And the movie's over. There is a sequel. And that's it. They're in New York City on a boat, and maybe they go together, maybe they don't. You'll have to see in the movie sequel. But before we get to our final synopsis, as always, reach out to us at rabbittroopsuckspodcast@gmail.com. Is there a movie you'd like us to review? Is there a movie you think is awesome, super weird, strange, cool? I don't know. Tell us about it. Mike totally wants to tell you about his pudding rings. Mm-hmm. Lamar's putting his mouth on them. Yep. Jeremy's drinking them down, chugging them one at a time. Colin and I have left. We don't talk about this, and we used to communicate via snail mail letters. Yeah, we were talking about it via letters after therapy sessions, but things have changed. You could also reach out to us at our webpage, rabbittroopsucks.com. We have pictures. We have latest episodes. We have birch links. We have lots of things. You could hit us up on YouTube as noted, or, the iTunes or the, podcast app on Apple or Spotify or Amazon or TinyCast or whatever is out there.
TinyCast?
It's all there. It's all there. as Mike always notes, get a child to help you figure out where podcasts exist, because it exists everywhere and it's beyond your hearts. We are on Instagram. We are on Facebook. Anywhere you would like to reach out. And again, especially after our latest Hackers episode 100, if you have not listened to it, thanks to everyone for reaching out. Thanks to everyone, especially all the Hack the Planets and all the love for the movie. We had a lot of fun with that one. Definitely more to come. How did everyone like Romancing the Stone on this Mother's Day week extravaganza?
I would go first.
Who wants to go first?
That would be me, because this is going to be easy. Love this movie. Love it. Make it really short here. It's a great movie.
I think we're going to have a
plot.
5 out of 5 on this.
Yes, we are. Be hard pressed if you didn't like this movie. It's so much fun. It's a bit longer than you would average movie. What was it, 2 hours we got?
It's an hour and 40 minutes, and Lamar, I couldn't agree with you more, especially noting that there was massive cuts to the movie. I felt like there was a couple times when I would have cut down this scene or this scene a little more, maybe replaced it with a little more. But yeah, I agree.
I get that feeling throughout the movie, but it's also a movie from the magical year of 1984.
Yeah.
We've reviewed a couple
84, 85,
movies.
86. You're in a sweet spot.
Yeah, specifically 84. I think just a large amount of bangers came out of that year. Great characters in this movie. It's a decent story. It's a little lacking on the whys of the plot. I think we discussed the little intricacies of that, but it doesn't hurt the movie at all. I love it.
Jeremy, what you thinking?
Yeah, I completely agree with Lamar. I love this movie. There are some like technical little like plot holes that exist, but you love the characters. You love like the little like the adventure that goes on in this movie. You love, it's a good movie. I love Michael Douglas. I think he's great in just about everything that he does. So one of the things that I used to do with my parents and my grandparents who lived next door to me when I was young, we would all get together on like a Friday or Saturday night and we would do movie night. And I specifically remember doing this movie with my grandparents and my parents on movie night. We rented this movie and we all really enjoyed it. And it was kind of nice revisiting this because I haven't seen it in a while.
Colin, what you thinking?
I still loved it. I know that I've seen this as a kid, but I definitely didn't really remember anything about it. So coming back in, it just felt pretty fresh, and I really, really liked it. That's pretty much it.
That is fresh. So I saw this movie for the first time when I was in high school. The girl that I was dating in high school, I made her watch Raiders of the Lost Ark with me because she had never seen it, and I love that movie. She's like, oh, so this is like Romancing the Stone. I was like, I don't know what that is. No. She's like, Romancing the Stone is like this movie, but for girls. I was like, okay, I'll watch it. And she made me go to her house to watch it, which was a bummer because her dad didn't like me. But her father bought into the Betamax side of the VHS wars.
Nice.
And that's how they had this movie. So I first watched this movie on Betamax at my girlfriend in high school's house. And immediately I was like, yeah, this movie is great.
Yeah.
And it's still great.
Is this a notable ex-girlfriend? Like, shout out to this person, or is this person burn in hell ex-girlfriend?
Oh, no. She's chill. Amy, if you're listening, I know you have listened before because you mentioned it. Not your Amy. This is a different
Has Mike ever had a bad ex-girlfriend?
No, you guys, I mean, this is going to sound weird. You guys, half of them have been guests on this podcast.
Shout out to Amy.
Yeah.
Thanks for making Mike making Mike watch Romancing the Stone back in high school.
Yeah, so that was cool. And I mean, like, it's still really good. And you know, the fun thing is like I said before, he's not like a hero. He's not good at anything. This movie, like, the transformation is about, what's her name? Joan, yeah.
Memorable character
Joan. But like the action, I mean, especially at the end, it's like Inspector Gadget and Penny. Like, we have a bumbling guy who's trying his best, but like he's not really the main character. Even at the end, like he gets the emerald back, but he just shows up because he wants to bone. Like, it's not because he's like an adventurer, you know? Yeah. I don't know. It's a fun character arc. This movie's great. Danny DeVito's amazing.
Yeah. He shows up to complete her story.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, which is good. Like that I think is the creative writing in all of this. Totally, Colin. It is her story start to finish. And that, like, the ending moments really seal the deal on that. And I feel that's really the winning moment for me. Like, it is more about her transformation, and she successfully does it. And, you know, I mean, not to sound like a relationship expert, but I feel like everyone in this room would agree with this, that she would never be in a successful relationship if she couldn't depend on herself. Like, if it was always like, I need someone to save me, that's doomed. That's not an adult, like, idealistic thing to have. So I think it really does it. Looking back at the movie, I gather way more as an adult, like things like that, she made this emotional transformation. Now she's ready for a relationship. Did I get that when I was 5 years old? Hell no, I didn't. I was like, mudslides and broken bridges. Like, hell yeah. And, these guys are talking about, pudding rings every which way. I was too young for that.
Damn right.
You brought up the.
I brought up nothing. I brought up the note of you guys talking about pudding rings.
Never take notes about pudding rings.
I'm taking notes about everything. So I like this movie. This movie's so much fun. As I agree with all of you, the casting's amazing. Are there plot holes? Hell yeah. Who cares? Whatever. There's plot holes in Indiana Jones too. So. Everyone's gonna have to get over that, but this movie's a ton of fun. Jeremy's totally right. 5 out of 5. Everyone's agreeing. Go watch this movie. We're gonna watch probably a lot. Like, over the course of this podcast, we're probably gonna watch a lot of Indiana Jones-esque movies. We've already started watching them. Is this movie a contender? I would say yes. It's a memorable film. I think people should look back and go watch it. It's awesome. The casting's awesome. So
and it's springtime, and we're getting into, like, we rarely have 5 out of 5 movies, mostly because I fucking hate everything. But, like, we're getting into, like, a summer of fun here.
Yeah.
We're gonna turn a page.
We've got a lot of things slated. We're gonna give you one more slightly cold film going forward. So next week we have The Golden Child from 1986. Join us for a little bit of mysticism, and then Mike's right. After that, we're gonna go hitting hard with some summer films. We're gonna have a lot of fun. As I said today, we're already cracking open and making some mimosas. Enjoy this entire Mother's Day week, not just a day, but make it a week. Celebrate those moms. Do those moms a favor. Put on a sweet, sweet album, probably recorded and mixed by Steve Albini, because I definitely going to miss that guy with the massive amount of records that he recorded that I would listen to or was in. So definitely rest in peace. But on a cheerier note, celebrate your moms. Watch Romancing the Stone with your moms. Your moms are awesome. Anything else anyone wants to say? Golden Child. You get to meet Brother Noomsy.
There's a lot going on in that movie.
Everyone loves Noomsy. Well, as always, Rabbit Troop Noomsies.
I lost my Langoustine.
Rabbit Troop sucks. Langenstein.